Hello friends, welcome to English class. I am Ripa Bhattacharjee, here to take your English class. But of course, before beginning the class, I would like to ask you something. Would you like to visit a fair? I think your answer is yes. And me too, my answer is also a big yes. Everybody wants to visit a fair. There are so many interesting things when we visit a fair. But what happen or what will happen if you get lost in a fair, or if somebody gets lost in a fair? Now you may be thinking, why I am saying that? I am saying that because today's chapter is the first lesson of your book Moment, and the name of the chapter is The Lost Child. So we will write it here, The Lost Child. And let me tell you, this Lost Child story has been written by a very famous author, and the name of the author is Mulk Raj Anand. Now let us get a glimpse about Mulk Raj Anand. Now who is Mulk Raj Anand? Mulk Raj Anand was born in December 12, 1905. He was a prominent Indian author of novels, short stories. He was mainly famous for writing on traditional village life of India. Of course, he was awarded with Padma Bhushan in 1905, and he had written two famous books. One is Coolie, one is Untouchable. These are more popular. Apart from this, he has written many other books also. So, after knowing about the author, let us go back to the main story. Okay, and the story is The Lost Child. So, in the beginning of The Lost Child, we get a description that it was the spring festival. So, do you know when does the spring festival begin? It begins soon after the winter season is over, probably in the month of February. Okay, so February, March is a month of spring season, and during this period, generally the festival begins. So, in many places, fair is organized during this season. So, in the story, The Lost Child, a fair was organized, and it was the spring festival, and all the people of the village, old man, young man, everybody was going to the village fair. Some were going on foot, some were going by horses, some were carried by bullock carts. In this way, they made their own communication. In the story, a little boy with his mother and father was very happy. He was also going to the fair. He was so happy that he couldn't control his feelings. So much happy that he was interested. He couldn't stop himself in looking at the array of shops. So he wanted to have the toys which were hanging down the shops. So his mother told him, "Come boy, come, let us go," because he was lagging behind. Okay, so come child, come, let us go. And then the boy, like a very obedient boy, followed his parents, and he went by. But then he wanted to have one such toy, so he pleaded, "Can I have a toy?" His father, without saying no, looked at him with a tyrant eye. Now, this tyrant word is used in the lesson, which means cruel. So, this is an adjective. This cruel word is an adjective. So, according to the boy, his father was being cruel to him. Why? Because he refused him a toy. Okay. Anyway, he was a good boy. He was an obedient boy. So, he followed his father and mother, and they were walking. But his mother was full of love and affection. she told him, come, see forward, see the beautiful field, and she showed the beautiful mustard flower field which looked like pale golden color. In this way, the boy walked through the footpath. As he walked through the footpath, what happened? He saw the dragonflies, he saw the worms, he saw the butterflies, he saw the lone bee. They were all going. So the boy, what did he do? He wanted to catch one of this butterfly. So what did he do? He took a net, he wanted to catch hold, and no sooner he was going to catch the butterfly, what happened? The butterfly flew away, and again he lagged. So his mother said, father said, come child, come. Come child, come, we have to go. So again the boy went. Soon they got a grove. A grove means, we are writing here grove, G-R-O-V-E, group of trees or garden, group of trees. So there was a well near the grove of trees. The father and the mother rested near the well, but the child was so happy, he entered the grove. And what did he do? He stood under a tree and a shower of flower fell over him, and he was so happy. Suddenly he saw doves. He wanted to catch the doves, but then again his mother said, father said, come boy, come. So again they stood up and started walking towards the fair. As they were going towards the fair, they could see from far away the fair, the merry-go-round, a large crowd of people moving towards the fair. Everybody was excited, everybody was beaming happily, and they were excited to see the different kind of things which was going to be exhibited in the fair. The boy could see, as they were entering the fair, the boy could see from far away a sweetmeat seller. Now, sweetmeat. Do you know what is sweetmeat? Of course you know, and if you don't know, you will know now. Sweetmeat means sweet seller. Sweet seller. He saw a sweetmeat seller, and the sweet seller was selling barfi, jalebi and rasgulla. The boy, when he heard barfi, he wanted to have one of those barfis. His mouth watered. So he wanted to plead to his mother and father that he wanted to have one barfi. But then he thought in his mind, oh, they won't give me. They will say, I am a greedy boy. So he uses one more adjective. What adjective? Greedy. In the first part we are getting, he calls his parents cruel. Now he is feeling that they may call him greedy. So without making any request verbally, he just follows them. And again he started following, lagging behind, because he was excited to see the shops, other things. So the parents again said, come child, come. In this way, the child was going away with the parents. As he proceeded a little more in the fair, what did he see? He saw a gulmohar. A gulmohar seller means a flower seller. Now what is this? Who is this gulmohar seller? Gulmohar seller was selling garland of flower. Gulmohar is a combination of a garland. The boy wanted one of those beautiful garland, and he wanted to tell his mother and father that he wanted to have one of those garland. But again then what did he feel? His mother would tell him, father would tell him that those garlands were cheap. So no use of buying those things. So in this way he didn't make another request. Only he wanted to have a gulmohar, but thinking of the fact that parents would refuse to him, he did not make any more request. In this way the boy was again following his parents, and again they told him, come child, come, let us go. Okay. So they were walking through the fair, they were moving around in the fair, they were enjoying the fair. By this time the boy saw a man standing with colorful balloons in a pole, red, green, purple, so many colors were there. Now desperately he wanted to have one of those balloons. This time it was more excited. But then he thought if he requests his parents to give the balloon, perhaps they will say no, and they may even comment on him. They may say that you are too old to play with a balloon. So here we come to know what? The boy thinks that he knows about his parents very well. Even whenever he wants to ask a question, before he makes a request to them, he feels that he knows the answer, and so he doesn't make this time also a request. Simply he wants to have a balloon, and that wish, without being fulfilled or without making a request to his parents, he keeps it in his mind. Soon they continue proceeding in the fair. The boy was now more excited because a large crowd of people were there. All the people were pushing, going hither and thither. There was lot of cry, there were lot of laughter, lot of people were enjoying the fair. Suddenly the boy saw a snake charmer. Now this time he wanted to see the snake charmer's activity. Now what was the snake charmer doing? The snake charmer had brought a basket, and in that basket one snake was there. It was swirling like a swan. Do you know what is a swan? Huh? It is a kind of bird. More or less it looks like a little bit of duck, not typical duck, but you can compare with that one, swan. The neck of the swan was compared with the neck of the snake because it was swirling in this way, okay, moving to and fro. The boy wanted to see, and the snake charmer was blowing a instrument. Now though he wanted to see, he knew his parents would say no, don't hear to that music. The reason is, whenever the snake charmer blows a musical pipe, what does he do? He makes a shrill noise, and it is not good to hear that shrill voice. So once again the boy doesn't make a request, and he thought they will say no only because they won't want me to see this sort of activity. So this sort of snake charmer's performance. In this way, once again the boy doesn't make any request to his parents. Now as he goes by, he sees far away one merry-go-round, okay, one merry-go-round where man, woman, children, they were going round, they were circling in that merry-go-round and making shrill cry, they were laughter, some were making huge cry. So the boy this time definitely wanted to go into that merry-go-round. So what did they do? And what do you think you will do? I know. Of course I know. Most of you will want to go to merry-go-round. You will also want to go in a roundabout. The reason is, it is very interesting. It is very interesting to go up and then all of a sudden come down. The experience of moving about in a roundabout is more interesting, and especially in a fair, you will want to go in a roundabout. Many people visit fair only because they want to go in a roundabout. So this time he wanted to go definitely. So he thought of making a bold request to his parents. So what did he do? He said, "Father, mother," he was trying to make a request. So he said, "Father, mother," but before he could make his request complete, what did he see? That nobody was replying him. That means what? He turned around this side and that side, and what did he see? Neither his father was there nor his mother was there. In a few seconds he realized that he was lost in the fair. Now the whole situation changes. From the beginning of the story, what do we get? The child was enjoying the spring season, enjoying moving about with his father. Though he was lagging, he was enjoying the thing. But all of a sudden his mood changed. Here we get at this point the change of the mood. And what happens here? The child started wailing. Wailing, do you know? Wailing, W-A-I-L-I-N-G, wailing loudly. That means crying. And he cries, I want my father, I want my mother. So he moves around, father, mother, that side, this side, hither, thither, everywhere he looks. But he could see them nowhere. Now what to do? Then he saw far away, there was a shrine. A large crowd of people were going inside that shrine. Some people are coming out of the shrine. So probably he thought, he might, if he goes into that shrine, maybe he may meet his parents. So he went near the shrine. He cried, father, mother, father, mother. But nobody answered. So many people were there in their traditional dresses. But his father and mother was not visible to him. So he was crying. Then he entered a crowd of people in the shrine. He thought probably if he enters those crowd of people, then maybe he will get his parents. But he was almost stumbled by the large crowd of the people. Suddenly a kind-hearted man, or you can say a man who heard his voice, lifted him up from beneath the crowd of the people. And then in his arms he took up the little boy and he asked softly, whose child are you? Where are your parents? And the child answered, I want my father, I want my mother. The man consoled him, okay, you will find your mother and father, but who are you? He did not reply. The story doesn't tell us whether the child knew the name of his parents or not, or whether he knew exactly his address or not, but he was so much in pain, in agony of losing his father, that he depicted the same thing without giving any description of his father. He just said, I want my father, I want my mother. Now the man saw that the child was crying, he was in pain of losing his father and mother. So what did he do? He tried to solve. He showed him, see child, there is a roundabout, would you like to go in that? The boy said, he just nodded no, and he said, I want my father, I want my mother, and tears were rolling down his cheeks. His turban, yellow colored turban, got dirty, and the only thing was that he was crying. Then the man consoled him, okay, don't cry, we will find your father. But you see, there is one snake charmer. Would you like to see the snake charmer's activity, performance of how he makes the snake move? All this time the boy wanted to see the snake charmer's performance, but now he was not interested. Why? Because he lost his parents. He was interested to find his parents, and he said, I want my father, I want my mother. So he just refused to look at the snake charmer's performance. Now next what happened? Again the man, what did he do? He took the boy, he saw a man standing with a balloon. He thought, of course, this is a small young boy. Maybe he will love having a few balloons, and maybe after giving the balloons he may stop crying. So thinking this thing, the man, or we can say the kind-hearted man, he took the child near the balloon man and he asked, would you like to have a balloon or two? But the boy said no, and he even refused to look at the balloons. He said, I want my father and I want my mother. Now by seeing this, again the man, he wanted to console the little boy, and what did he see? A man standing with gulmohar. Okay, he was selling these garlands. So he took the boy near the flower seller and he requested, do you want a flower seller? You see, these flowers are so beautiful, they smell so good. You can take one, you can put it in your neck and you can smell the beautiful fragrance of the flower. But the boy said, no, I don't want. I want my father and I want my mother. Now what happened? Seeing this, the boy crying, the man felt very bad. He was, according to the story, the way it has been depicted, he felt that he really wanted to console the boy. So what he did this time, he thought maybe food. Food is the thing, and sweet food, sweet meat or sweets console the children. Children love having a lot of sweets. So what did the man do? He offered him sweets. See, there are rasgulla, barfi. You can have a piece for yourself. But the boy just turned his face around from the sweet. He didn't want to have any sweet. He was not interested in eating, and he just said, I want my father and I want my mother. So in this story, what do we get? In the beginning of the story, what do we get? The boy was complaining. Complaining what? That his parents were very cruel. Father was cruel. Why? Because he didn't allow him to buy a toy. Then next he described his parents, that what they will say? They will say that he was greedy. And because if he demands a barfi or rasgulla or something sweet, they may call him greedy. So this thing shows that the parents had a different image of his picture. He didn't want to know why his parents refused to show, or perhaps he didn't know the reason. The bond of the parents and the child cannot be measured with these petty things. The relationship between parents and children cannot be broken up with, cannot be counted with such small refusals. Okay. All this time he was angry with his mother for not buying him a gulmohar. Of course, he didn't request also, but he was probably sure that if he made a request, they will say no only. And once he lost his parents, now this little boy understood the value of parents. This story tells us that the bond between the parents and the children cannot be measured with materialistic things. Parents are the one who cares for us, and if they say no or if they refuse to some of our requests, then definitely there is some reason behind that one, because no parents will want their child to be harmed in any way. The child now realizes that more than having sweets, he wanted to have his parents. More than going in about a roundabout, he wanted to be with his parents. The child now realized that it is better to be with his parents than buying a gulmohar or garland, flower garland. Okay. In this way, now he had no more aspirations, he had no more wishes, he had no more demands. So this story tells us that the relationship between parents and child is above all kind of relationship. However, there's a question still lies down at the last, that whether the child reached the parents. Yes, the way the man dealt with the young boy, the way he tried to console the boy, and the way the man was encouraging the boy, who is your parents, he was trying to know from the boy the name of his parents, perhaps his address also. So we may assume that the boy might have been returned to his rightful parents by the man. So the story tells us that we should love and respect our parents rather than finding faults with the situation which often or sometimes they refuse to us. It is only for our good they refuse many of the things. So my dear students, this is the story of the lost child. Now what I would like to say to you is that in the chapter The Lost Child, there are questions. Okay, so one or two questions I will be discussing, like how to ensure not to get lost. Okay. Now there may be a question, how do we ensure that we should not get lost? We can not get lost by being very careful. There is one more question. What does the boy want to have in the beginning? The boy wants to have, can you tell me, the first demand, he wants to have a toy. So in this various questions are there. There are broad questions. Broad questions is you will get described how the small child visited the fair with his parents and what did he see on his way to the fair. Okay. So in this way there are questions and you will have to solve them. You can take the help of the story and the study material, and of course you will be able to answer the questions by going through the summary. Okay, by going through the summary of the lesson. The word meanings are there, and after going through the summary and the word meanings, one thing you will realize that the chapter The Lost Child is not a story outside our life, it is the very much story of our related to our very life. Every village, because most of us we hail from villages, so every now and then we get village fair, and I hope next time when you visit a fair, you will be very careful, and of course you will not complain if your parent refuses you a thing or two. So for today, thank you very much. There are some links in this chapter. It is given at the end, you will get it. So you may download the questions and you may answer them. Thank you very much. So we will have our next class the next day. Goodbye, good luck.